to authorize the President of the Republic to ratify the Defense and Security Cooperation Framework Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Cameroon and the Government of the Arab Republic of Egypt, signed in Yaoundé on the 11th of October 2022, presented on behalf of the Foreign Affairs Committee by my humble self, Senator Leke de Songo, Akem for Philip. Mr. President of the Senate, dear colleagues, during its sitting of 21st June 2023, the Chairman's Conference, after scrutiny, declared admissible Bill number 2010/Bill/SEN/3L to authorize the President of the Republic to ratify the Defense and Security Cooperation Framework Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Cameroon and the Government of the Arab Republic of Egypt, signed in Yaoundé on 11th October 2022. This bill, already adopted by the National Assembly, was forwarded to the President of the Senate in accordance with Section 30 of the Constitution. In keeping with the provisions of Sections 33 and 47 of the Standing Orders of the Senate, the Chairman's Conference in its sitting of 1st July 2023 confirmed the admissibility of this bill and entrusted it for scrutiny to the Foreign Affairs Committee. Your committee met for that purpose on 1st July 2023. The bill was presented and defended by the Minister Delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of Defense, assisted for that purpose by the Minister Delegate to the Minister of External Relations in charge of cooperation with the Commonwealth. The deliberations took place in the presence of the Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of relations with Parliament. It emerged from the explanatory statement that this bill seeks to authorize the President of the Republic to ratify the Defense and Security Cooperation Framework Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Cameroon and the Government of the Arab Republic of Egypt. On the whole, this cooperation initiative is in line with our country's strategic policy of diversifying its defense partnership and mainly aims at strengthening and consolidating the relationship between both countries by extending it to the military sphere. Concluded for a period of 3 years, the tacitly renewable agreement specifically covers military training, logistical services, exchange of experts, technicians, and professionals in various military fields, military intelligence, electronic information and communication systems, military medicine, military justice, military industry, science and technology, sports, cultural and social activities. The agreement will be implemented through specific arrangements and implementation programs. Several factors attest to the excellent military cooperation ties existing between the two countries, such as the granting of short-term training courses by the Egyptian side to Cameroonian military personnel, the holding of the first session of the Joint Defense Commission responsible for monitoring the implementation of this framework agreement in Cairo from 7th to 11th May 2023 at the initiative of the Egyptian party, the participation of a detachment of the military band of the Egyptian army in the military march past during the celebration of the 51st edition of our National Day on 20th May 2023. Ratifying this legal instrument will, in many ways, further enhance this fruitful cooperation. Invited to take the floor to provide further explanations to the explanatory statement, the Minister Delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense recalled that Cameroon and Egypt have maintained close military defense relations for nearly 10 years. Cameroon, he added, has appointed a defense attaché with residence in Cairo since 2012. Similarly, the Arab Republic of Egypt has a defense attaché to the Egyptian embassy in Cameroon with residence in Abuja. Since 2015, Egypt has been hosting dozens of officers from the Cameroon Defense Forces for training at various levels and in various fields: intelligence, military diplomacy, border security, etc. As part of the high-level exchanges, the government representative declared that he had made 2 working visits to Cairo. Within the framework of operational cooperation, the Egyptian Armed Forces have invited Cameroon to take part in the joint Egyptian-American military exercise called Bright Star 2023, which will take place in Egypt from the 1st to the 19th September 2023. Government has agreed to Cameroon's participation in this event with a unit no larger than a company. Cameroonian officers have already taken part in the initial and main planning conferences held from 10 to 20 October 2022 and 14 to 19 January 2023, respectively. The signing of the agreement in Yaoundé on 11th October 2022 was the culmination of a process of negotiations between Cameroon and Egypt that had been underway for several years. It provides a formal and legal framework for an already long-standing, rich and fruitful cooperation in the field of defense between the 2 countries. For the minister, this action is in line with the policy of diversifying Cameroon's partners, a strategic option of the head of state, Chief Commander of the Armed Forces. It also materializes the reinforcement of South-South cooperation dear to the head of state. The Defense and Security Cooperation Framework Agreement between the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Cameroon and the Ministry of Defense of the Arab Republic of Egypt is concluded for a period of 3 years, tacitly renewable, unless one of the parties notifies the other in written form of its intention to terminate it 6 months before its expiring date. This shall enter into force 30 days after receipt through diplomatic channels of the last written notification relating to the completion by the parties of the required internal procedures. Continuing his speech, the government representative pointed out that the various areas of cooperation mainly concern military training, logistical services, exchange of experts, technicians, and professionals in various military fields, exchanges in the field of military intelligence, electronic information and communication systems, military medicine, geography and history, military ships and aircraft stopovers, cooperation in sports and cultural activities, high-level exchange visits, amongst others. The 2 parties, he added, may decide to develop other actions to strengthen their cooperation. Additional texts are planned for the implementation of the specific areas outlined in the agreement. The minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense recalled that since 2010, Cameroon has faced many challenges in the field of defense and security. He cited the terrorist activities of the Boko Haram group, which, although now reduced to predatory attacks, nonetheless retains a capacity to cause harm, thanks in particular to its many branches and on and off the continent. The security crisis in the northwest and southwest regions, despite the ongoing stabilization, is having a considerable impact on national development efforts. He also cited the situation on our borders with the Central African Republic and the Republic of Chad, a situation that is essentially volatile and imposes on Cameroon to be constant vigilance. These current security challenges mean that Cameroon must open up to the world by increasing its defense and security partnerships. Indeed, faced with terrorism and other forms of conflict that claim victims around the world in general and in Africa in particular, states are increasingly pooling their efforts to better contain the threat. The current Russian-Ukrainian crisis is a major illustration of this. Furthermore, the Arab Republic of Egypt is a friendly country which provides tangible and significant support to Cameroon in terms of defense and security. Today, in terms of training, it represents a partnership for the number of officers and non-officer personnel undergoing training in different Egyptian military schools and academies. Cameroon is already benefiting a lot from this. Continuing his speech on this issue, the minister delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense pointed out that the armed forces of the Arab Republic of Egypt have great experience in the fight against terrorism and new threats. Egypt's defense industry is classified among the best in Africa and competes with those of the traditional partners of Cameroon. The minister delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense also declared that ratifying this agreement could encourage sharing of experiences in terms of initial and continuous training and functional cooperation. The implementation of this agreement, which does not question the rights and commitment of Cameroon within the framework of other international agreements, could greatly favor the sharing of experiences in the fight against international terrorism, as well as increase opportunities for initial and continuous training for our defense forces, thereby enabling Cameroon to leave monopolistic situations, preserve and improve on its liberty of strategic action. Besides, the government representative pointed out that both parties neither waited for the signing of the agreement nor its ratification to develop their trade ties. A number of factors at the excellent level of cooperation between the two countries, for instance, short-term training courses awarded to Cameroon's defense forces by the Egyptian government, the holding of the first session of the Joint Defense Committee in charge of monitoring the implementation of this framework agreement from 7th to 11th of May 2023 in Cairo at the initiative of the Egyptian party, the participation of a detachment of the Egyptian military musical band in the military parade during the celebration of the 51st edition of our National Day on 20th May 2023. The minister delegate at the Presidency in charge of defense concluded that the cooperation agreement in the area of defense between the government of the Republic of Cameroon and the government of the Arab Republic of Egypt is a strategic instrument which strengthens the influence and military might of our country in defense at the international scene. During the general discussion opened after these additional explanations, members of the Foreign Affairs Committee started by congratulating the government representative as well as the defense and security forces for the work accomplished with bravery to maintain peace in and at the borders of the country. They then expressed the following concerns on the reinforcement of security in the BLM division at the Southwest region. In this regard, your committee members asked the minister delegate at the Presidency in charge of defense to reinforce the military strength in Fontaine subdivision, precisely in Menji, to deal with threats from Mr. Chris Ann, a native of that village who happens to be based in the USA. This strategy will assure the smooth running of the next academic year and the protection of persons and their property. For measures to be taken against kidnappers and hostage takers in the Diamari division, your committee members asked the minister delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense to increase the number of gendarmes stationed in some posts in that locality and solicited for the stationing of a detachment of the Rapid Intervention Battalion B to cover Ndukula, Mutua, Pete, and Bogu subdivisions. Taking into account the protection of Cameroon's sensitive data within the framework of signing the cooperation agreements, benefits expected by both signatories of the agreement, your committee members sought to know what the Egyptian party will gain from Cameroon within the framework of this cooperation. The continuous confrontations between Cameroonians and foreigners which result to loss of human life at the mining sites in the east of Cameroon. Your committee members wish to know the measures taken by the Minister Delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense to stop these deadly encounters. To the Minister Delegate, to the Minister of External Relations in charge of cooperation with the Commonwealth, your Foreign Affairs Committee members raised a specific concern regarding measures taken by the Minister of External Relations to support Barrister Salah, who is defending the interests of Cameroon before the American court against separatists like Chris Hani, brother of Field Marshal, a dangerous terrorist neutralized by the defense and security forces. Taking the floor to respond to the concerns of members of the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Minister Delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense began by expressing gratitude to your committee members for the kind words addressed to him and for their recognition of the work carried out at the front by the defense and security forces, to whom all credit should go. Reacting to the reinforcement of the military presence at Fontaine in Lebialem, the government representative was reassuring. He, however, declared that teams from the operational command are relentlessly on the field to restore calm and serenity in the area. To illustrate his point, the government representative does recall that the results of the satisfactory work carried out by the defense and security forces in this part of the country are perceptible. Indeed, the Cameroonian army in this zone has recorded several surrenders of separatists, one of the most remarkable being that of the younger brother and lieutenant of the former figurehead of separatism, known as Nobiti, who surrendered to the defense and security forces. Speaking about the kidnapping accompanied by ransom demands observed in the Diamari division, the Minister Delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense revealed that a vast operation to track down insecurity nests will be carried out by the National Gendarmerie. It will cover all the 10 regions of our country, and the Diamari division will be included in the operation. With regard to the understaffing of gendarmerie officers in certain gendarmerie posts, notably in Mindif and Ndukula, the Minister indicated that as part of the implementation of the National Defense Policy, His Excellency the President of the Republic has defined a 5-year plan to increase the number of the National Gendarmerie and Army personnel. Under this plan, 5,000 military personnel will be recruited each year, and 3,000 gendarmes will be recruited each year through competitive examination. Continuing his speech, the Minister revealed that the far north region stands out from the other regions of Cameroon by being the only one to have 2 gendarmerie legions. One is based in Maroua and the other one in Logun and Shari. Concluding on this specific point, the Minister indicated that the 5-year plan seeking to strengthen the gendarmerie's workforce will enable 300 new recruits to be deployed in each of these command units. With regards to the deployment of the Rapid Intervention Battalion B, the Minister Delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense began by affirming that the B is a component of the defense forces. For him, the B is not the only entity to ensure security of our country. The B is a component of the army with a special mission. If the B is the Rapid Intervention Battalion, as a matter of principle, it is not good that it stays in a particular place for a very long time. Continuing his remarks, the Minister Delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense stated that the mobility of the B must be absolutely guaranteed. This is why he recommends that when members of the committee are considering sending in complaints about the deployment of the security forces, they should simply ask that the presence of the defense forces be perceptible in the chosen locality and that they leave it to the High Command to deploy the men according to the needs of the moment. He concluded on this point by affirming that the grievances of members of your committee have been recorded and will be dealt with in accordance with the doctrine of the armed forces. With regard to the Cameroonian side's contribution to bilateral agreement, in particular the agreement which is the subject of the bill under scrutiny, the government representative began by pointing out that the signing of a cooperation agreement is the culmination of a cycle of negotiations during which the parties ensure that they will be able to derive a definite benefit for their country. Continuing his remarks on this point, the minister delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense then affirmed that this was a give and take agreement. This means that Cameroon is not only receiving but also offering her expertise to the other party. Everything is provided for in this agreement. In this particular case, Cameroon is expected to welcome officers from Egypt to its joint academies and schools, such as the École Supérieure Internationale de Guerre in Simbok, Yaoundé, and the Air Force in Hawaii. Continuing his speech relating to Cameroon's contribution to the training of military nationals from countries with which it signs cooperation agreements, the minister delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense revealed that the construction of a pre-deployment training center for peacekeeping is underway in Mochebu in the Haut-Nyong Division, East Region. This training center, which bears the UN level, aspires to become a center of international excellence for the pre-service training of blue helmets as part of the UN peacekeeping operation. It was in this light that the said center was recently inspected to ensure that its building and equipment were in compliance with the UN standards. Continuing his remark on this subject, the minister delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense indicated that the Inter-Army Military School in Yaoundé, EMIR, whose reputation is well established, has trained 6 to 10 nationals at each triumph. Finally, the government representative specified that in return, Cameroonian soldiers receive training abroad, Algeria, France, Egypt. They in turn transfer the knowledge they have acquired to the Cameroonian army, as in the case, for example, of the Chief of Staff of the Army, who is a graduate of the Churchill Military Academy in Algeria. Concerning the precautions taken by Cameroon to protect its confidential data when negotiating cooperation agreements, the minister delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense revealed that the defense and security forces are trained to protect the defense secrets. Thus, during exchanges with the opposing party, not all information is disclosed, and to prevent leaks, all military services have spy and counter-spy units. Taking the floor after the minister delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense, the minister delegate to the Minister of External Relations in charge of cooperation with the Commonwealth came back to the question relating to the mechanism to neutralize separatists on the American soil. He revealed to the members of the committee that on 6 April 2022, Bureau of Investigation, FBI, carried out search operations at the homes of certain Cameroonian separatists living in the United States of America. Searches which enabled the seizure of computers and documents leading to the indictment and conviction of 13 separatists. Continuing his explanation, the minister delegate to the Minister of External Relations in charge of cooperation with the Commonwealth reassured your committee members that the figurehead of these separatists, called Chris Annan, living in the USA, after having recently made violent threats against the populations of the Northwest and Southwest regions during a live broadcast on the social media, cannot carry out his threats because he no longer has soldiers nor devoted allies to his cause. on the Cameroonian territory. After these discussions, your committee members proceeded with the scrutiny of the sections of the bill under consideration. Sections 1 and 2 had no remarks. They were adopted as presented. Having reached the end of their discussions and finding no divergence with the bill adopted by the National Assembly, members of your Foreign Affairs Committee adopted each of the sections in their initial form, as well as the entire bill, number 2010/BIL/SEN/3L, to authorize the President of the Republic to ratify the Defense and Security Cooperation Framework Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Cameroon and the Government of the Arab Republic of Egypt, signed in Yaoundé on the 11th of October 2022. They now request the entire House to kindly endorse their conclusion.